I 44M have been married to my wife 39F for just over 20 years. We get along very well and we both care for each other very much. I can truly say she is my best and closest friend. And I know we can both trust each other with anything. We have so much shared history together and we have each been there for each other through hard times and good times. Right now, we're financially comfortable and we both work full-time. She is WFH and I commute about 40 min each way. We also have 2 kids, 20F 18M, who are in college but still live at home. And we are paying their tuition. For the first 5 years or so, we were both very physically affectionate each other and had sex all the time. Even with small children, our sex lives were healthy. After a while, I guess things got busier for us both. We still had sex regularly, but it was less spontaneous and mostly on the weekends. It stayed like that for years. But around 3 or 4 years ago, things slowed down a lot. It got to where she was only interested if she was ovulating or on her period, and no other time. Then, after a while, it got to be less and less frequent, to the point where it was like only 5 to 7 times per year. For me, the lack of physical intimacy was excruciating. When I would talk about it with her, she would say that she still finds me attractive, and that I'm not doing anything to turn her off. She let me know that she isn't put off by my pursuits and typically feels flattered when shown interest. That said, I was still being rejected about 19 out of 20 times. I got to a point where I was just unable to reconcile the sexual rejection's lack of physical intimacy against the rest of our otherwise wonderful relationship. Then, one day, something just snapped inside me, and I decided I couldn't live with this kind of turmoil anymore. So, in a sort of Hail Mary to save my sanity, I decided to try something new. I started to make myself think of her the same way I think of my friends and co-workers. Anytime I found myself thinking of her sexually, I would tell myself, no, that thought is inappropriate. And then I would quickly engage in something else to occupy my mind. At first, it was difficult. After a few months I trained my brain to think of my wife as more of a friend and not to entertain sexual thoughts of her at all. During this time, about 5 months, she seemed completely oblivious to it. Recently, however, she tried to come on to me, and I rejected her. I wasn't rude or anything, but I honestly just wasn't in the mood, probably for the first time in decades. LOL. She wasn't thrilled, but she seemed okay about it. The next day was a Saturday, and she was obviously feeling amorous, but I still wasn't feeling up to it. Not that I couldn't have, but it somehow just seemed like a step down for my self-respect and self-worth, like I would suddenly be no better than a dog waiting for scraps or Oliver Twist begging for another cup of gruel. It just didn't feel right.